I'm Celia Faye Meisel, and I am an energetic and spiritual alignment coach. And I'm also a spiritual healer and a spiritual teacher. And I've known Raquel for a couple of years now in the online space. And in the summer of 2017, wasn't that long ago, she was running a launch for one of her programs, and I came across a Facebook ad for her webinar. And I was at a point where I had invested a lot of money. Like, I was coming out of a program that I had invested well over 5 figures into my business, and I was zapped. I had a full practice of clients. I had 13 clients. I was reaching 5 figures in my business, both in sales and cash revenue. And I was drained. And I was just at this place where I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And Raquel's message showed up, and just like in that divine synchronicity, that divine timing, something in me said yes. You know what? The price point was right. Everything was right. What can I lose? You know, I have everything to gain at this point. And you know what came through for me on this journey of going into my human design and basically rebuilding my business from scratch is having to really come out of that push mode where I was going. And, you know, I was always very much in like, I need to create new programs. I need to get out there. I need to get coaching. I need to do this. I need to do that. So it was very external focus, and working with Raquel and Davidian helped me to really shift into more of that internal focus, which is way more aligned for me energetically and for my soul. And at first I was kicking and screaming. I mean, I was really resistant to it, right? I'm like, no, I want to make money now. I want to sell now. You know, so a little bit at the beginning, there's that, you know, I fell into that push mode. But I know Raquel will always refer to it as the deconditioning process. And that's really what I did. I deconditioned myself, and I started to find what really excited me about growing my business and what really excited me. And so it's taken me several months to get where I am now, but I continued with the process of studying my design, of, you know, if not daily, weekly, really tuning into my chart and doing like affirmations, and just always kind of going back to this is who I am at this energetic level from my design perspective, and just making sure I'm aligning with that. And I would say that probably within the last 90 days, the biggest shift that has happened for me is, you know, realizing that I don't have to always put myself into this box. I was really, really trying to box myself up as a biz coach, a spiritual biz coach. And I had to really just let that box go and know that I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. Business coaching, business mentorship will come up naturally along the journey, but that doesn't necessarily have to be my focus. And that's really been liberating for me, honestly.
And so what would you say has been flowering within you? You know, often they say when you begin the process of human design, it's sort of a mutation that happens inside of yourself. And so what has been mutating? What has been changing inside of you?
It's been giving myself permission to be that spiritual woman that I am. Because I'm super gifted, and I was just scared. And I was scared in business coaching, felt safe. Like, well, I can do this, like I'm super smart at it. And then I would try to bring in all the spiritual aspects. And what's really been unfolding for me is this spiritual healer, spiritual teacher, like bringing out this work into the world. And it's literally been, you know, it feels like an overnight of, okay, this is where I am, and just allowing that daily unfolding to, okay, now we're ready to step forward with it. So I've actually launched my first class. Because the other thing that I want to bring in with that too is part of my burnout that I had experienced was from doing private coaching. I had a background as a musician and a music educator, and had worked with, at any given time, I might have had 30 to 35 private students I was working with weekly. So that could be, close to 20 hours of private work per week. And so when I booked out that private coaching model, it just drained me, because I just didn't have any more to give in that perspective, or in that way. And so what working with you did was you actually trained us like how to build a leveraged biz model, how to like all of the step-by-step pieces of creating your program, of launching it. And that helped me, because I actually didn't know what the bridge was between the private and the current model, and it took me a lot of work, but I finally have it down where I can launch like these hybrid programs where it's, one part coaching, one part group, one part private, one part group, one part online course. And like, I'm okay with doing group work and things like that. So that's been, the spiritual healer kind of coming forward, and this woman who is allowing herself to have a leveraged business where she doesn't have to work. Because you really helped us with seeing like, you guys don't need to be working, more than a certain number of hours per week.
Yeah, and one of the things I've really noticed, one of the things about your chart, this individuality, you have this, really intense individual nature. And those people who really have that force of individuality, there's going to be this time where, wow, I don't fit into this mold. I don't fit into this mold. And you're in, and in this coaching industry, we don't realize it, but it is very tribal. There are certain rules and regulations. And so you really are here to sort of break the mold. And doing that sometimes is a little uncomfortable. It's a little, it can be a little bit hard to find your way, because you have to lead the way. And so when you're trying to develop your business and lead the way, it can be a little bit intense at first. And that was the one thing I really began watching you and seeing you really, the evolution that happened within you was really claiming and owning that you are unique, you are here to lead the pack, and and watching you kind of break away from the pack and move into your leading the pack. Sometimes it takes, just seeing that inside of yourself, so like, oh, duh, yeah, I'm I'm here to make change in a way that's right for me. And so what was your experience with that?
Well, there's actually two things with that. And there's the mutation and the individuality aspect. And then there's that aspect of I have the trial and error in my chart as well. So for me, it was sort of stepping forward and saying, okay, this is where I'm feeling called to, what I'm feeling called to do right now. That maybe if I become more refined in my approach, which is what I got out of working from you, it was this really powerful refinement process of my coaching gifts. I thought, well, maybe I can serve more people. And then what I found was that my community wasn't able to interact, because they were all so different. So then I had to go back and say, okay, well, how can we refine this? And so I kept getting the message, starting in November, of energy worker. And so I was like, well, what does that mean? I'm just going to explore it, because my intuitive gifts just exploded once I really learned my chart. And so I stepped forward with that. And so I started to call in my people, which are now I've refined it to ambitious energy workers. Like, I'm not meant to serve everybody else. And so I think that that's how it's reflecting in like me calling in my tribe of individuals. They're very unique people on the planet. They're not often understood by their families and by their communities. And by calling in my tribe of individuals, I'm building that new tribe. But I also know that they may not be with me forever, because I help people get started with their alignment. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be like their forever coach either. So I really have that deep understanding of who I am, and I'm always getting more information. always, and I know I can feel myself when I get that, the pull and the push. And then I know, no, this is who I am. All I have to do is just sit and a sign will come, like something will happen. And it does.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. It's that is one of the beautiful gifts about human design. We learn this incredible depth of patience. Yeah. And knowing that when we sit in that place, rather than initiating or taking action, things begin to shift and change. I love the spiritual work combined with human design also. That's one of the greatest things to watch, people who are very connected, who have been doing years of spiritual work, add this one element. It's a very interesting inner transformation that begins to happen when those two worlds meet. Yes. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your experience. It's been a real honor to work with you. I just love your energy. I love everything you're up to and everything you're doing. And so where is your business now? What are you up to, and what do you have coming up?
So I just am in the process of launching my first real spiritual training, and I'm doing a light body activation, Merkaba light body activation next week for my community. And I'm actually downloading, yesterday was really powerful, but I'm actually downloading a new process. I'm trained as a facilitator to do these activations, but I've actually got a new approach coming through. So I'm excited to launch that. And then I'm moving into more of a kind of a funnel driven automated business. I've stopped doing sales calls. I just sold out a mastermind, 4 spots in a mastermind with no sales calls whatsoever, because everything is energy, as you know. And so right now, I'm planning to launch an intuitive development program. I've got a lot of people who are interested in me teaching them angel work. And I have this whole body of work that was actually a forgotten dream. Like, I thought this is never going to happen, because I have like all these professional recordings that I did and a book outlined, and I had given up on it because the alignment was never there. And then just one day there's a post on Facebook and all these people are interested. And that was that sign that don't give up on that, Celia, that's still there for you. So a lot of spiritual trainings, and then probably about once a year, I will launch my business coaching or my mastermind, where I will have a small group of high level women that I will kind of coach them through, because I do love that. But that's kind of where it is, very just going with that intuition and what feels good. And, again, stepping into my mastery, right, of really doing what I know that I'm meant to be doing and how I'm really meant to serve at a high level versus my conditioning of what society tells me I should do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your experience. Again, I'm really very, very grateful. And I've learned so much from watching you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up unless there's anything else you want to complete with.
Well, I guess one piece that's coming through that I want to say is that you really encouraged us, and I know for me in particular in our group coaching, that to really work on our mindset. And that was something that I was missing. What exactly a mindset practice was, money mindset. And so that's something that I've incorporated over time and have now developed, like understanding spiritual money mindset and all of that. So I just want to say thank you for that as well, because that was actually something that wasn't really, it was taught like it's a negotiable, but it's a non-negotiable, like some coaches, and you were like, money mindset is an absolute must. You must. So you drove that home, and that was a huge missing piece for me as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of the areas that as a spiritual entrepreneur, we have had a lot of mixed messages in. And I know for myself, I've been in a lot of spiritual communities where, you're not charging for the spiritual work. I mean, one of my best, most enlightened teachers, there was no need for money there. She was, and it wasn't that she was in any lack or limitation. She had money just coming in because she was enlightened. There was money everywhere. She didn't charge for her work. Money just showed up. It was a very confusing thing to learn at a young age. What is, how do we understand money in the context of spiritual work? And I really do think it's our generation. I think it's the people doing the work that we are doing who are redefining how to align this very third dimensional world of business and making money with these very high dimensional enlightenment concepts, and how we merge them together with a not only in a way that is full integrity, but a way that's right for our soul, and a way that aligns to abundance. I've had a lot of spiritual coaches who, to me, straight up, their sales process feels not in super integrity. And I think that it's because we don't have that full balance yet. And that is something I think that is cutting edge right now, is really understanding that it is vibration, we are abundance, that is our natural state, and we are also learning how to be business people, aligning to making money in this world by asking and claiming our worth, and creating a business model that is easy to run and opens the door to multi 6-7 figure businesses.
Exactly. And it being a spiritual process.
That's right. Right. Yeah, it's a spiritual process, and whatever's going on inside your mind is one of the powerful gateways, and it's a powerful doorway to open up to higher and higher levels of, obviously abundance, and tracking where it is we're ever trained or taught or, believe that we have to either sacrifice ourselves in some way, or that there's something that's not spiritual about bringing in big money, right?
I actually had to recently stepped away from a coaching because the mindset was like, everything is, I'm so drained, you're so tired, funnels are bad, emails bad, it was like this whole thing. And ultimately I had to step away and say, I refuse to drain my life force for this business or for money. And I will say that that's probably the key. If there's one takeaway I got from working with you, is that my life force and my energy are more precious than any dollar. And that, that I must prioritize that. And of course, by prioritizing that, the abundance and the wealth is a natural state. But if we give ourselves over to this other way of living, it's really unhealthy. So I guess I want to say thank you for that, because I'm able to really stand my ground and stand in integrity and know when that's happening, and know that it's not my responsibility to coach somebody out of that, especially when they're one of my mentors, but just know this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and I will not drain my life force for this business. It will enliven me and energize me.
Yeah, beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's so easy for us to overwork because it's so ingrained in our culture, and it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of making money. And it is exciting, and it does keep pushing us forward, and yet at the same time we still have, the more aligned we are, the more we're going to be able to grow and hold. I see so many coaches that get to that point where they're just burned out, they can't even receive anymore. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that was a powerful thing to add.
Fabulous.
Awesome. All right, Angel. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to include your, whatever link you want to include here, any, a freebie, whatever your opt-in, your website, we'll definitely make sure that we include for anyone who's tuning in, so you can touch base with Celia if that is the work that is calling you. So thank you so much. And I love sharing your work with the community.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.